very simply explain your role and this joint initiative that has raised this funding and where the funding goes.
Sure. The announcement we had this morning was $15 billion in funding for developing a very large purpose-built AI data center. We're calling them AI factories. These large-scale data centers with chips that can manufacture intelligence. So our role in all of this is, we are basically we developed the data center itself, and we're in charge of building it, and we will own it in a joint venture partnership with Blue Owl.
Data centers, to some, are large buildings with concrete foundations and metal around the outside, and no one really knows what's inside them. The other way of looking at it is that these are like massive infrastructure projects where it's not just the compute inside, all of the associated infrastructure around. Which part are you more responsible for?
So Crusoe as a business will handle the entire stack. For this specific project, we're focused on the design, build, construction of this large-scale data center. I think it's worth appreciating that data centers as a product have changed very dramatically in line with the changes in computer architectures over the last 20 years. So if you look 20 years ago, a standard data center rack might have been 2 kilowatts, maybe 4 kilowatts. Today, for the GB200 NVL72 configuration, we're budgeting 130 kilowatts per rack, all with direct-to-chip liquid-cooled water cooling. And if you look forward to the next generation, what Jensen announced recently at GTC with the Vera Rubin Ultra, those are 600 kilowatts per rack, right? So you're looking at more than 100x increase in overall power density. That fundamentally shifts what you're building in terms of when you're thinking about building and constructing a data center. The other piece that I'll highlight is that these data centers are no longer a bunch of individual computers all plugged in, operating independent workflows and tasks. You really should be thinking about the data center is the computer, right? All of these
cluster
chips
scale joined by NVLink.
Exactly, are interconnected on the same high-performance RDMA fabric so that they can really be thinking together and sharing information.
The thing is, like, in aggregate, right, we're talking about 10,000 megawatt facilities, plus or minus, up to, the future generation, maybe 20,000 megawatt. Something that came out of earnings of the hyperscalers is that they raised capital expenditures in some cases like Meta. But there's real evidence that wasn't just like a bigger commitment. It's because the cost of building a data center is higher. Do you see that in your activities?
The cost of building it is higher because...
Materials, labor. Right?
Materials and labor are kind of labor is honestly the biggest expense here. And what we're seeing, because there's such a big boom, there's a shortage of labor, right? There's a shortage of construction workers. There's a shortage of electricians that can really make these facilities happen at scale.
Crystal ball for you as well. You've kind of put Crusoe on the map here, but this is one project. Are we seeing year on year on year all the way through the 2030 just capital expenditure increase, more data centers? There's no sort of plateauing of the activity?
I can speak for what we're seeing, which is no slowdown. We are seeing incredible demand from across a diverse set of customers that want to build scaled infrastructure to support their own AI computing needs. And we see that scaling, by orders of magnitude. So from our perspective, this is the largest infrastructure investment in human history, and it's not slowing down.
How big a challenge is securing energy and also the utility infrastructure to support your sites?
So energy is the core of this in terms of, we've never seen data center infrastructure built at this scale before. If you look at Northern Virginia, as of the end of last year, a report from JLL, shared that it was 4.5 gigawatts of total capacity in Northern Virginia. What we're building in Abilene, Texas is 1.2 gigawatts, right? So you're talking about one facility that's a quarter of the size of all of the data center capacity that's been built in the center of data center Mecca in Northern Virginia. And now we're looking at facilities that are, 5 times bigger, right? So energy and the amount of energy required to support AI infrastructure at scale is truly mind-boggling. So it is a critical component to solving, and I know we're focused on doing it here in America and expanding, also internationally.